Testing is used as a means of evaluating the abilities, aptitudes, skills, or performance of an individual or groups.
Schools use standardized tests to determine if children are ready for school, track them into instructional groups, diagnose for learning disability, retardation, and other handicaps, and decide whether to promote, retain, and grade or graduate many students. Schools also use tests to guide and control curriculum content and teaching methods.
In the early days, students were tested by their teachers just to see if they had mastered the material. As early as 1845, Horace Mann was advocating for standardized testing, but it didn't catch on until 1900.
Elite colleges required entrance exams for their students. However, secondary schools complained that the entrance exams were too different and it was too difficult to prepare students for each one.
In 1900, the College Entrance Examination Board was created to prepare a single test for college admissions. This board is now known as the College Board.
Unfortunately, the original test administered did not predict the student's success in college well.
During World War I, Edward L. Thorndike, a psychologist at Columbia University, created a multiple-choice test for prospective soldiers. It was used to determine if they were qualified to join the armed forces.
The tests that he created were called the alpha or beta tests. These tests were found to be much more reliable and valid than the tests created by the College Entrance Examination Board. They became a model for future college entrance exams.
Standardized tests like the ones Thorndike used began to be developed in the early 20th century.
Alfred Binet developed an intelligence test around 1905 that would later become the modern IQ test.
In 1914, Frederick J. Kelly created the first multiple-choice test.
In 1926, the SAT was introduced.
In 1941, the exam's essay format was taken out and the multiple-choice format of today was introduced. Essay questions came back to the standardized test in 1955 with advanced placement exams.
Originally, tests were not used to hold schools accountable. Interest in accountability began in 1966 with the Equality of Educational Opportunity Report.
The Equality of Educational Opportunity Study was commissioned by the United States Department of Health, Education, and Welfare in 1966 to assess the availability of equal educational opportunities to children of different race, color, religion, and national origin.
The study consists of test scores from 1st, 3rd, 6th, 9th, and 12th grade students and questionnaire responses from teachers. The scores reflect performance on tests assessing ability and achievement in verbal skills, nonverbal associations, reading comprehension, and mathematics.
Americans began to demand that their governors do something to hold schools more accountable. Most governors' response was to implement testing.
The National Assessment of Educational Progress was first implemented in 1970 to more accurately report students' progress in schools.
Throughout the 80s and 90s, more testing was implemented by governors and state testing became more widespread.
George W. Bush's program, No Child Left Behind, was signed into law in 2002. This act required all states to implement testing in certain grades in order to receive federal funding for schools.
unpopularity of No Child Left Behind, when Obama took office, he sought to build a stronger program and developed Race to the Top.
Race to the Top awards a different amount of points to states for a variety of actions. States are given federal funding in proportion to the points they've earned.
Race to the Top encourages the adoption of nationwide standards, as well as a system of testing to measure progress on these standards.
Testing overall can have negative effects on students. Placement resulting from testing can hurt slower students and disadvantage more advanced students.
Students most affected are from low-income families and minority group backgrounds.
These students are most likely to be held back or put on lower tracks unnecessarily. They are also most likely to be given a watered-down curriculum geared solely toward the test and on drills. This will only add to the academic gap between their peers.
Teachers and administrators feel enormous pressure to ensure that the test scores go up. Because government programs like No Child Left Behind and Race to the Top attach money to higher test scores, they've become increasingly more important.
Schools narrow and change their curriculums to match the material that will be on the test. Most teachers lean toward teaching only what will be on the test. As stated by Debbie Meyer, if something is not likely to be on the test, the official word is don't teach it.
Simplifying lessons in this way has been found to be detrimental to the quality of public education. Interesting or engaging material is often ignored or left out of the classroom.
Because subject areas such as music, dance, gym, or art are not being tested, they are often left out of the curriculum. Creativity among school children is diminishing.
Furthermore, testing does not adequately achieve its main purpose of indicating improvement in academic performance. Higher test scores do not show an increase of learning, they only show an increase on attention to material seen on tests.
Testing was developed in the turn of the century as one method of measuring academic performance, but today it has become the single most important indicator of school improvement. The focus of schools on testing has caused education to become overly simplistic, with too little critical thinking or creativity.
I've been walking in the same way as I did, missing out the cracks in the pavement and tutting my heel and strutting my feet. Is there anything I can do for you, dear? Is there anyone I could call? No, and thank you, please, madame. I ain't lost, just wondering